We are now here in China's most famous tea region, but actually we are here for something very different. This is Pu'er. Hi, we're Vera and Lee, and we are on a mission to explore the world through its food. And in this season, we will take you to explore the Yunnan region in China. So we actually just planned to stay here in the Yunnan region for 2 weeks, but we just liked it so much. It's very different from the big cities, and the people are so chill and nice that we decided that we want to stay a little longer and explore the region a little bit more. So we're here now. Welcome to the heart of Yunnan. Pu'er is famous for its ancient tea culture, but lately it's also been making a name for itself with a surprising coffee scene. In this video we will take you with us to see how this region is mixing old traditions with a new coffee revolution. Wow, this is so nice. We started our trip in a tiny town called Naköli. It's one of those places you'd probably miss if you weren't looking for it. Quiet, slow-paced, with wooden homes and dusty streets. But it actually used to be a stop on the ancient tea horse route, a trade route that connected China with its southern neighbors. You can still feel a bit of that history in the air. When you walk through the narrow streets, you can see animals, shops selling local products, traditional homes, and lots of food stands. The people here in this town live off agriculture, tourism, and tea cultivation, which explains the variety of vegetables. Just look at this root vegetable. At least I think this is one. If someone knows what it is, please leave it in the comments. Thank you! Here you can also see rose leaves, which is very typical for Yunnan, and fruits being put out to dry. It is a very small town, but it is so lovely to just walk around and explore. There's also a lot of nature around, as we are in the middle of the Pu'er mountains. We can have a look. Thank you. Then we walked by this cute little cafe. And on this entire trip to Yunnan, this woman was the first one who approached me in English and invited me to check out their coffees. So of course, I had to go in. It was beautifully decorated with flowers and plants everywhere, and the children were playing amongst us. And look at this cute doggo. Here you can already see clearly that the coffee culture has become a very important part of the Yunnan region. They care so much about the way they prepare it and the beans that are being grown. And finally, I had to try some pu'er tea with jasmine just before leaving. Delicious. From Naköli, we headed into the hills just outside of the city of Pu'er. The roads wind through green mountains, and then we reached a traditional guest house somewhere in the nature. No signs, no noise, just birds, mist, and coffee trees. Lots of coffee trees. The guest house was a traditional house, or rather almost a mansion, with a typical courtyard that can be used for relaxing or getting together. Oh, and this energetic and beautiful dog, such a cutie. Here in Yunnan, there are so many adorable pets in most of the guest houses and on the streets. The humans and the animals are really close here. And this little cat just wanted to take her siesta on my lap, right after the amazing dinner that we were invited to by the lovely ladies of the homestay. The next day, we took a Didi to visit some nearby coffee farms. The first one we stopped at was modern and felt super welcoming. And we got to try 2 of the farm's own coffee blends.
Jungle blend, subtropical blend.
They had a very delicate flavor with a slight acidity typical for Arabica beans. You'll mostly find filter coffee being served here. From the terrace, you had a direct view of the coffee fields. The rain and mist added to the atmosphere, making the whole experience even more authentic. It surprised me at first. I always thought of Pu'er as a tea place, and it is. But in recent years, coffee has taken root here, literally. The climate, the elevation, it turns out they're perfect for growing high-quality Arabica beans. A lot of the farmers who used to grow tea are now growing coffee, or even both. And some of the beans are getting international attention. The second coffee farm had a more rustic, traditional vibe. Just a simple bar where you could taste some of their coffees. One of their specialties is a tasting of 9 different coffee blends, ranging from more fruity and acidic to sweet and smooth. First, they let us try the flesh of a coffee bean, which actually tasted pretty sweet. This variety comes from the use of different processing methods, including the washed wet process, the natural dry process, and the honey process. Each coffee we tried had its own distinct, amazing flavor. And to finish the tasting, they gave us a distilled coffee liquor that was pretty strong but tasty. And to balance this out, they gave us also some lime and sugar on the side. That was pretty interesting. But that wasn't the only surprise of the day. At this coffee farm, there was an entire film crew filming the farm and the owners. They were making a documentary about Yunnan coffee and its people, and they asked us to be part of it. It was for the national Japanese and Chinese TV. So we gave a short interview about why we're visiting Yunnan and what we think about the Yunnan coffee.
你们回来之前了解过云南有咖啡吗？种植咖啡？
来之前真不知道，我们是在代理看到好多咖啡店，然后我们尝一尝，感觉哦挺有意思的。
La calidad aquí es bastante superior. Normalmente tomamos los mezclas entre Arabica y Robusta.
这支啊，这支是今年我们做一个特殊处理的。
People told us that right now there's so much demand of the Yunnan coffee within China itself that they are not exporting it to other countries. And I can really see why. They are valuing the locally grown, hand-picked specialty coffee over imported coffee, which is great for the local farmers and the environment. And finally, I also got to pick some of the coffee beans. That was the first time in my life. I can imagine that is a pretty hard job if you have to do it all day, every day. Our final stop in this video is Pu'er itself. When you visit the city of Pu'er, people will most probably tell you to visit the old town. However, the interesting part is that it's not an actual old town, but a new part of the city that should give you the feeling of being in a traditional ancient town. Pu'er's original town, once a key stop on the ancient Tea-Horse Road, was significantly affected by modern development, wars, and time.
No hay nada aquí, güey.
So the new Old Town is a cultural revival project. It's meant to recreate the look and feel of what Pu'er might have been like at its peak, especially during the height of the tea trade era. Although during the day, the Old Town was almost empty, we found this incredible small noodle place. It is a local buffet-style noodle restaurant where you can basically mix and match the dish that you want. I was a bit overwhelmed with the offer, so the owner offered me to prepare his favorite dish for me. First, he chose a noodle type, then added some sauce on the top, and of course, a lot of different toppings and pickles. He really took care of us and ensuring that we would have a good experience. He was so happy that we liked his food. And the best part is, you can go as many times as you want. So now it was my turn to prepare something for Lee. I chose the egg noodles, which are my favorites, and then I could choose a different broth.
Está bien, queríamos una porción grande. Ahora eres un chef de ramen.
Profesional. En Alemania abrimos un restaurante de ramen. They had peanut, pork, and chickpeas. The lady recommended me to get the pork because it was the most suitable for the egg noodles.
Toda y bien, un poco más.
And then I put everything on top that looked good. Super based in China style. But apparently, Lee liked the food. So, all good. 1 minute later. At night, the old town came to life with food stands, various shops, and attractions for both adults and children. We started to understand the value of having such an open, walkable place for both locals and tourists, even if it did have a bit of a theme park feel. While it's not an original old town, it was clearly built with tourism in mind, it was still a really enjoyable experience, and we definitely recommend checking it out. Especially the food stands were super interesting for us. But also the events were nice to watch. We got some local tofu and a souffle as a dessert. It was so interesting to see so many different shapes and sizes of tofu. That was delicious, and in the next episode we will actually take you to a place where the most famous tofu is coming from in China, so don't miss out on this one. I think the souffle was inspired by the Japanese style souffle, just here it was a lot cheaper than it would have been in Japan. And it was really delicious. Later we passed by a tea house where the owner was preparing tea cakes in the traditional way. Although he was already getting ready to close up, when he noticed a foreign tourist curious about the process, he kindly decided to make another batch just so we could watch. First, he carefully weighed the dry tea leaves. Then he steamed them to make them more flexible. And then he began shaping the tea cakes, first by hand, and later using heavy stones.
加工工艺我们都是传承了这个几百年这种方式。
This is a very intense and tiring practice. Therefore, this technique is rarely used today, as most tea cakes are now produced in automated factories. Farmers who don't have the machines send their tea to the cities to have the cakes pressed. The tea is pressed into cakes for easier storage and to make the most of the limited space. After this, he invited us to have a traditional tea with him. The first pour is used only for rinsing. Because of the natural fermentation, the tea may still contain some bacteria, which are washed away during this step. And then we finally got to enjoy the tea. He was very friendly and didn't pressure us to buy anything at all. But of course, we had to get some. So, did you know that China is getting more famous for its specialty coffee? Leave it for us in the comments. We hope you liked the video. Follow us for more Yunnan videos and see you in the next one. Bye bye!